In the remote forests of Northern California lies Pelican Bay State Prison, one of the most secure and feared correctional facilities in the United States. Within its high walls and electrified fences, a silent war rages, led by one of the most powerful prison gangs in American history, the Mexican Mafia, also known as La M. Born on the streets of East Los Angeles and forged in the California prison system, La M has built a brutal empire, exerting control over thousands of gang members, both inside and outside prison walls. Pelican Bay, with its notorious Security Housing Unit, or SHU, has long served as the command center for many of its most ruthless leaders. Here, behind steel doors and concrete barriers, orders are passed through coded messages, orchestrating violence, drug trafficking, and extortion with chilling precision. This is the untold story of La M's reach inside Pelican Bay and the war to stop it. Number 4. Danny Roman, the Mexican Mafia general behind bars. Danny Roman, a longtime member of the Mexican Mafia, commonly known as La M, is one of the most dangerous and influential prison gang leaders in California history. Known for his ability to command street-level gang activities from inside the confines of solitary confinement, Roman exemplifies the power and reach of the Mexican Mafia, even under the most restrictive conditions. His story is one of criminal ascent, violence, loyalty, and manipulation, stretching from the streets of Los Angeles to the most secure wings of Pelican Bay State Prison. Danny Roman was born and raised in the crime-infested neighborhoods of South Los Angeles, an area known for breeding some of California's most notorious street gangs. Roman affiliated early on with the Harpies Gang, a Sureño clique operating in the Florence Firestone district of Los Angeles. Like many other young Latinos in the neighborhood, Roman's early exposure to crime, violence, and incarceration put him on a fast track toward involvement with La M. Roman was recognized for his cunning, brutality, and loyalty, traits that earned him respect and eventually membership in the Mexican Mafia. Unlike many gangsters who only rose through street violence, Roman showcased intelligence and organizational skills, qualities that would make him indispensable to La M's operations. At some point during his time in prison, Roman was officially made into the Mexican Mafia, earning the status of carnal or full member. This status is not given lightly. It represents a lifetime commitment to the Mexican Mafia's rules, codes, and missions. Roman proved his worth by orchestrating attacks, disciplining gang members, and running extortion rackets both inside and outside the prison system. By the early 2000s, Roman had become one of the Mexican Mafia's top generals, exerting control over both inmates and street gangs from within prison walls. He was particularly influential in Southern California, directing the activities of dozens of Sureño cliques and coordinating narcotics trafficking, taxation, and violent enforcement of EM policies. Roman's notoriety peaked while he was housed in the Security Housing Unit, SHU, at Pelican Bay State Prison. Designed to contain the worst of the worst, the SHU is a solitary confinement unit that isolates inmates for 22 to 24 hours a day. Yet even from within this concrete tomb, Roman continued to command the Harpies Gang and other Sureños. He utilized an intricate network of secretaries, gang members, or family members on the outside who helped him transmit coded messages. One of the most notable examples was his daughter, Viana Roman, who acted as his primary voice to the streets. Through Viana and others, Roman issued orders that directed the flow of drugs, collected extortion payments, known as taxes or rent, and even greenlit murder plots. Law enforcement eventually caught wind of this, leading to a massive federal indictment in 2013. In 2013, Danny Roman was one of 13 people named in a sweeping RICO indictment that targeted the Mexican Mafia's stranglehold on South Los Angeles. The charges ranged from racketeering and drug trafficking to conspiracy to commit murder. The indictment revealed that Roman was the undisputed authority over the Harpies gang and demanded loyalty from all Sureño-affiliated gangs in the region. Federal investigators disclosed that Roman had issued edicts from his cell, some of which resulted in beatings, stabbings, and murders, all orchestrated from hundreds of miles away. Number 3. Arturo Castellanos, the silent general of the Mexican Mafia. Arturo Castellanos, also known by his prison moniker AB, is a high-ranking member of the Mexican Mafia who spent decades as one of the most powerful and feared figures in California's prison system. Revered by some and feared by many, Castellanos operated largely from the shadows, exercising control over criminal enterprises within and beyond prison walls. His life reflects the Mexican Mafia's ability to project authority despite severe incarceration and the enduring power of fear, loyalty, and coded communication in maintaining gang hierarchies. Arturo Castellanos was born and raised in Southern California, an area long plagued by entrenched gang violence and economic instability. Like many young Latinos in gang-infested neighborhoods, Castellanos was swept into street gang life early on. He was affiliated with a Sureño gang in Los Angeles County, which ultimately served as his pathway into La M, the Mexican Mafia. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Castellanos was already a known figure in the California prison system. He quickly built a reputation for his discipline, intelligence, and willingness to enforce the violent rules of the organization. His loyalty and effectiveness earned him a spot as a made member of the Mexican Mafia, a prestigious and feared position that required full dedication for life. Castellanos was incarcerated at Pelican Bay State Prison, California's highest security facility designed to house the most dangerous inmates. He spent much of his time in the Security Housing Unit, SHU, a place where prisoners are kept in solitary confinement for up to 23 hours a day. Despite the harsh conditions, Castellanos thrived in his role as a shot caller. He became one of the most influential La M members in Pelican Bay, orchestrating extortion, murder, and drug trafficking operations from within the confines of a 7-by-11-foot cell. In prison, Castellanos developed a reputation for being meticulous and calculated. Unlike some Mexican Mafia members known for erratic or flamboyant behavior, Castellanos operated with subtlety. He focused on maintaining organizational order, enforcing La M's rules, and mentoring younger inmates loyal to the cause. One of Castellanos' most impactful contributions to La M was his role in codifying the gang's internal rules, or reglas. In one intercepted message sent from his SHU cell, Castellanos wrote, "We are Emeros, Mexican Mafia members." These reglas are followed and respected. These rules addressed issues such as loyalty, taxation, communication protocols, drug distribution, and punishment for betrayal. The document served as a gang constitution of sorts, helping unify La M's structure across various prison yards and neighborhoods. Castellanos' writings were disseminated through kites, small handwritten notes, and passed along by trusted associates, showing how even isolation could not stop the spread of La M doctrine. His leadership style was centered around discipline and unity. Castellanos believed in strategic violence, not violence for its own sake. When killings were necessary, they were carried out methodically, based on hierarchy violations or betrayal. This ideology helped stabilize La M's power during periods of internal conflict and increasing pressure from law enforcement. Arturo Castellanos was also one of the 4 lead representatives during the 2013 California prisoner hunger strike, alongside other well-known prison gang figures like Todd Ashker, Aryan Brotherhood, and Sitawa Nantambu Jamaya, Black Guerrilla Family. Castellanos co-authored statements condemning the use of long-term solitary confinement and calling for changes in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, CDCR, policies. The hunger strike involved more than 30,000 inmates across the state and drew national attention to human rights concerns inside supermax prisons. While CDCR viewed Castellanos as a dangerous gang leader, some advocacy groups and journalists viewed him as a key figure in raising awareness about the psychological and physical toll of indefinite solitary confinement. Despite his gang affiliation, Castellanos managed to shape discussions around prison reform, an irony that highlights the blurred lines between criminal leadership and political activism in the American prison system. Following years of solitary confinement and surveillance, Castellanos remained under intense scrutiny by the CDCR and federal agencies. His communications were tightly monitored and his visitors strictly limited. Nonetheless, reports suggest that he continued to influence La Aim policy and disputes, particularly those involving taxation and street-level governance by Sureño gangs. He was one of the key figures whose isolation was cited in lawsuits that led to major reforms in California's prison policies, including the 2015 agreement to end indefinite solitary confinement in the SHU. Though he remains incarcerated, his name continues to command respect within the Mexican Mafia and among Sureño gang members throughout California. Arturo Castellanos' life is a study in quiet but absolute power. From a solitary cell, he helped direct the operations of one of the most feared prison gangs in the United States. His influence over La M's structure, doctrine, and discipline helped sustain the organization through multiple generations of gang members. At the same time, his role in the 2013 hunger strike positioned him, ironically, as a voice for prison reform. While much about Castellanos remains hidden in prison records and redacted documents, his legacy is clear. He was one of the Mexican Mafia's most disciplined and influential leaders, capable of shaping the lives of thousands with nothing more than a piece of paper, a pencil, and a well-placed kite. Number 2. Michael Big Mike. Lurma, the Pomona godfather behind bars. Michael Lurma, often referred to as Big Mike or Pomona Mike, emerged from the tough streets of Pomona, California, to become one of the most influential and dangerous figures within the Mexican Mafia, La M. Convicted of multiple murders and a central orchestrator of racketeering and drug operations, Lurma's life story embodies the reach and operational sophistication of prison-based gang leadership. Born in 1956 to a father involved in heroin trafficking, Lurma grew up in Pomona's working-class neighborhoods, overshadowed by the remnants of California's citrus boom. As a youth, he became affiliated with the 12th Street Gang. A tragic conflict erupted when, at age 18, Lurma and his brother killed a rival gang member, a crime that led to a life sentence in prison, though he was paroled after approximately 4 years. After a brief stint in lay life, Lurma struggled to find steady work. Drawn back into criminal enterprise, he resumed selling drugs following his father's lead, stating, "Selling and dealing drugs, that's what I decided to do." In 1995, prison authorities officially identified Lurma as a Mexican Mafia member. By the 2000s, he had earned status as a maid carnal, a full member empowered to issue orders and manage extensive criminal operations. Lurma's ascendancy was characterized by his ability to blend street-level influence with prison-based authority. Between 2012 and 2020, federal prosecutors documented how Lurma extorted drug dealers in Pomona and controlled narcotics flows inside Calipatria State Prison, collecting a thirds tax on in-prison drug sales. Transferred to the Metropolitan Detention Center MDC in Los Angeles in 2018, Lurma quickly took control. Witnesses testified he supervised daily operations, dictating exercise schedules, custodial assignments, and work opportunities for Latino inmates. His dominion extended to violence and discipline. Under his orders, inmates who fell out of line could be beaten, stabbed, or, if branded with a green light, killed. He famously asserted during trial, "If Michael Lurma wills it, you will die." In June 2020, Lurma ordered a fatal attack on an inmate identified as SB who had failed to repay a drug debt. Two Pomona-based associates, Carlos Popeye Gonzalez and Jose Swifty Valencia Gonzalez, entered the man's cell, stabbing and strangling him on Lurma's orders. This calculated assassination was part of a broader racketeering and drug trafficking network orchestrated under Lurma's command. In March 2025, a jury convicted Lurma, Gonzalez, Valencia Gonzalez, and Juan Squeak Sanchez of RICO conspiracy, Vicar murder, first-degree murder, and drug trafficking. Known for his imposing presence, bald, walrus mustache, squat frame, Lurma cultivated the image of a calculated enforcer and strategist. He likened his formative Marine Corps service to a period of discipline and respect for hierarchy, but admitted to reverting to violence upon returning to civilian life. His organizational mastery extended into intricate leadership structures. He employed señoras, female lieutenants, such as Cheryl Perez Castaneda, who collected extortion payments and issued directives on his behalf. Secretaries, like Kelly DeShannon, who facilitated armed robberies and drug distribution under Lurma's direction. These networks emphasized his prison-to-street and street-to-prison command model, allowing him to pull strings from behind bars. Lurma's conviction caps a notorious chapter in LAME history, highlighting the group's ongoing ability to control crime across institutional and geographic boundaries. Prosecutors claimed that, from the 1600s in Calipatria to the streets of Pomona, Lurma's reach literally determined who lived and who died. The March 2025 verdict ensures he faces life in federal prison, closing a long-running investigation with 16 convictions and underscoring a rare but critical legal victory against prison gang supremacy. Michael Big Mike Lurma is a striking example of how incarceration does not necessarily eliminate influence for high-profile gang leaders. From his early life in Pomona, through prison stints and membership in the Mexican Mafia, to his tyrannical control over an MDC wing, Lurma built a multi-layered criminal empire. His conviction and life sentence represent a landmark moment in disrupting the enterprise-style operations of prison gangs. Yet his story remains a chilling reminder. For LAM, a cell does not equal captivity. It can serve as the nerve center of a sprawling criminal web. Lurma's case continues to draw attention from law enforcement and scholars studying the intersections of incarceration, gang control, and systemic organized crime. Number 1. Renee Enriquez. In the early 1990s, Pelican Bay State Prison stood as the ultimate stronghold for California's most dangerous inmates. Designed for isolation, control, and containment, it became home to the Mexican Mafia's highest-ranking shot callers. Among them was a man whose name echoed through the cells like a ghost, Renee Enriquez. Once a rising star in the Mexican Mafia, Enriquez was no ordinary inmate. Smart, charismatic, and deadly, he was inducted into LAM in his early 20s. But it was inside Pelican Bay's infamous Security Housing Unit, the SHU, that Boxer solidified his reputation as one of the gang's most strategic minds. Locked in a windowless concrete box 23 hours a day, Enriquez orchestrated extortion rackets, drug trafficking operations, and hit orders through coded kites and indirect communication. Inmates hundreds of miles away awaited his word. In the shadows of Pelican Bay, Boxer didn't just survive, he ruled. He wrote detailed letters, each word layered in meaning, passed from inmate to inmate, gang to gang. These messages governed street-level activity in Los Angeles, resolved internal disputes, and commanded executions, all from his isolated cell. The violence, the betrayals, the isolation, it all began to take a toll. Boxer watched friends die, alliances break, and his own humanity erode. And in 2002, he made a decision that shook the Mexican Mafia to its core. He walked away. Turning state witness, Enriquez revealed the inner workings of La M, including operations he helped direct from Pelican Bay. His debriefings exposed hidden networks, long classified rules, and even the roles of other high-ranking members still in SU cells. But even from behind bars, Enriquez's betrayal marked him for death. A green light was placed on his head. He became both one of the most hated and most protected men in California prison history. Today, Renee "Boxer" Enriquez remains a paradox, a former killer who turned informant, a gang general turned whistleblower. His time at Pelican Bay wasn't just about power, it was about transformation. And in a place built to break men, Boxer Enriquez found the courage to change everything.